I am Darrell Steinberg, the mayor of Sacramento, and thank you. And what a great honor it is for me to be able to kick off today's very, very important set of announcements. I want to welcome and thank Governor Newsom and the first partner for being here today, obviously. But so much more important than being here, and even more important than the announcement that you are about to make today, is the acknowledgement and the gratitude on behalf of all of us for what you have done to make this issue of homelessness and mental health and mental illness a top-tier public priority. Because I have been around for a while, and I will tell you that no one has wanted to touch this issue. And so today's announcement will stand alone, but it is on top of the homeless assistance program that even in a deficit year, you have suggested to our great colleagues in the legislature here that we ought to continue that. And so there are many leaders from the legislature here, and I'm grateful. Love your branch of government, by the way. But I want a special shout out, because I wouldn't be the mayor of Sacramento if I didn't recognize and welcome Senator Angelique Ashby and Assemblymember Kevin McCarty, and thank you for being here. So I'm not stealing the governor's thunder, although this has been in the news already this morning, but I just want to say why this is so significant and use Sacramento as the example, because this is not just a Sacramento project here. The governor is proposing that he aids, and the legislature aid many cities throughout California where this problem is, of course, very, very real. But here in Sacramento, we did something at the end of 2022 that we're pretty proud of. We entered into a legally binding partnership agreement with the County of Sacramento that lays out our roles and responsibilities. It's really an accountability document, because what it says is that the city and county are going to work together. We are going to employ at least 50 more in our city. It's pretty big. 50 more outreach workers to engage people in the encampments, including mental health conditions, who can diagnose on the spot and have the obligation to enroll people in the services immediately, and then to help navigate them off the streets. And then to do, and this is what it says, whatever it takes, including wraparound services, full service partnerships under the Mental Health Services Act, all of it, to get everyone off the street. Now, I know that's an ideal, and it will take time. There's one thing missing. Despite the unprecedented commitment and investment by this governor, we still don't have enough beds. We started at less than 100 when I was mayor. Now we're at 1,100 beds a night, and they're full. The county the same. This is a lifesaver, what he is going to announce today. And it is going to enable us to achieve the objective to a greater degree. What he has called for, what the people are calling for: clean up the freeway corridors, make the cities safer, and do it in a humane way. That's what this is about here today. And so we are grateful, Governor, that you have chosen Cal Expo as the place to start your tour of the state. It's an important site, actually, because it's a state asset. And it's a wonderful place. State Fair, we all love it. Corn dogs, all of it. But it is also underutilized. And this is the place where we need to not solve the whole problem, but it needs to be part of the solution right here at Cal Expo. State, city, county, community. This is a new day. Thank you so much. Great to be here. Let me introduce now my colleague. Again, all big city mayors, and Governor Newsom, of course, was a big city mayor. All big city mayors are dealing with the same issue. And so we're really grateful to have the new mayor of San Jose, Matt Mahan here to speak to all of you. Welcome, Mayor Mahan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg. Good afternoon. I'm Matt Mahan, Mayor of San Jose, which is the largest city in Northern California, and like most cities is grappling with an immense homelessness crisis. Unsheltered homelessness in particular is a crisis that demands the kind of urgent, bold, and pragmatic solution that we're here to talk about today. I want to thank Governor Newsom for his leadership, for helping cities like San Jose meet this challenge head on. We all agree that building more housing, especially more affordable housing, is the long-term solution, as well as expanding our mental health hospital system and inpatient treatment centers. But as we build up our housing stock and rebuild our mental health system, we have a moral obligation to address the immense human suffering we see on our streets every day. I've challenged my city, San Jose, to create 1,000 new placements for unhoused residents to find safety and security this year. And the governor's announcement today is going to help us get there. We've already seen the incredible impact that these tiny home communities can have. Over the last 3 years, since the beginning of the pandemic, San Jose has stood up 4 of these tiny home communities. And in the same time frame, we've seen our rate of unsheltered homelessness drop by 9 percentage points. We've seen a majority of the individuals who have gone into these tiny home communities already graduate to permanent housing solutions. We've also seen that the neighborhoods that have taken on these tiny home communities, a part of the solution, have seen a reduction in calls for service for both crime and blight. It's common sense. Get people out of unmanaged, unsafe conditions into caring environments with services, and everybody's better off. So these are real solutions. Just a few weeks ago, I met Ava, 21-year-old expecting mother, who 6 weeks ago was living in a tent along one of our creeks in San Jose, and now in a couple of weeks will be, with some assistance from a local nonprofit, getting the keys to an apartment, all because she was able to go in to one of our tiny home communities, get her situation stabilized, get some counseling, some support, and get back on her own 2 feet. So these, again, are the kinds of bold, innovative solutions we need, and I'm just incredibly grateful to the governor for leaning into this crisis and empowering cities like San Jose and cities across our state to be a part of the solution and to put this crisis behind us. So thank you, Governor. Appreciate your leadership on this issue. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, who has been an incredible champion for housing and homelessness solutions in our state.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Buffy Wicks. I represent the beautiful East Bay, Oakland, Berkeley, and Richmond area. I'm also the chair of the Assembly Housing Committee. And when I got the chairmanship, I don't know, a little over maybe a year and a half ago, I knew I did not want to preside over inertia and status quo, because inertia and status quo is not working. And just ask the 174,000 folks on our streets who are experiencing homelessness if they think it's working. I want to be really clear. The reason why we are where we are today is because we have made conscientious policy decisions decades ago that have led us to where we are. We have decided to underfund or give no funding to affordable housing for decades. And that all started to change a couple years ago, in large part due to the great leadership of Governor Gavin Newsom, who decided to say that the days of saying no to housing are over, and the days of saying it's someone else's problem are over. And that is why I'm proud the legislature and the governor have worked together over the past few years to invest $15.3 billion of funding to solve homelessness. And while we are proud of that investment, voters demand, and those experiencing homelessness expect and deserve, a return on that investment. And I applaud the governor for pushing for more ambitious plans, for pushing our cities to really come to this moment and rise in this moment. And the time for planning and fretting is behind us. It is a time for action. These 1,200 small homes that we see are going to be critical interim housing for our local cities and our counties as they strive to meet their ambitious goals that they set forth for themselves. And while it took us decades to get into this crisis, we know it's going to take time and commitment from the state to move ahead, and our local communities. And I'm committed to that. I know the governor's committed to that. As chair of housing, I am committed to that. And I know that we have to build the housing that we need, because once folks have the temporary housing, they need the long-term permanent supportive housing as well. That's why the streamlining work is so important. That's why the investment in housing production is so important. I want to also acknowledge some of my colleagues who are here who have been leaders in this space as well. We have Assemblymember Mike Gibson joining us. We have Assemblymember Kati Petrie-Norris joining us. And one of our newer members who has done a lot of work in the homelessness space in a prior job, Assemblywoman Piar Shaiovo. So I'll close here and just say, to solve this problem, we know we need resources, we need innovation, and we need accountability. And I think that is what this reflects. I'm excited to be here with you all today, and I'm even more excited to introduce one of my co-conspirators, partners in crime in the Assembly, whose district you are currently in right now, Assemblymember Kevin McCarty.
Thank you and good afternoon. This is, of course, my district, and I grew up literally a couple miles down the road. Thank you, Governor, for helping us answer the call. This is a call and a crisis we hear about every day from our constituents across California, the issue of homelessness. We appreciate hearing from our mayor of Sacramento and the mayor of San Jose, because this is a collective problem that we all need to address. It is literally an albatross that all levels of government need to step up and tackle today, as we heard from Assemblymember Wicks. And we need to act together with a sense of urgency. That's why I'm so supportive of our governor's plan and call for swift action to reallocate existing monies from our state budget to make these 1,200 tiny homes a reality in 4 cities across California. Sure, we'd love to have permanent supportive housing for 174,000 homeless across California, like the 2,000 homeless along our parkway just 100 yards behind us. But we need to focus on triaging today. Californians demand action today. We cannot wait. This helps get people out of the encampments along our beloved American River Parkway and from our central city freeways, as our mayor just noted. Lastly, Governor, I thank you for having us here at Cal Expo, because as our mayor stated, this is a state asset and a key to helping us solve this critical problem. But it's been elusive to make it happen at this site. Just 2 years ago, you signed my measure greenlighting the placement of homeless facilities right here at Cal Expo, but we weren't able to make that a reality, and I'm confident we're going to do so this year. Again, many cities across California need our help, but we're appreciative that our capital city will be among the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Jose for answering the call. Thank you again, Governor Newsom. Next, I'd like to introduce another Sacramentan, a newcomer to our state legislature, but not a newcomer to the issue of homelessness in our capital city, Senator Angelique Ashby.
Thank you, Assemblymember McCarty. Hey, Governor, this is pretty direct. I think this makes a point of why we're all here and what we're trying to achieve today. One point of privilege, what an honor for me to get to work on both sides of this equation. 2 months ago, I was his vice mayor, and today I get to stand in front of you as your senator. Make no mistake that while this is a wonderful gift from the governor and the legislature and the state, Sacramento earned this day. Sacramento worked really hard to build a memorandum of understanding that allows for operational efficiencies between the city and the county, and there are many local people who made that happen, led by the mayor, your city manager, Howard Chan, who is here, the housing director, Lachelle Dozier, and the great partners they have in Sacramento County. And that effort is what's going to allow us to have the intensive, enriched wraparound services and the people, those 50 people that are going to help. That's really critical, because folks will move into these units, but the way we get them out of these units and onto a better life is by wrapping those services around them one by one in the individual capacity that they need. So I want to thank the legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, for being doggedly persistent on this issue. I want to thank the governor. You couldn't make a clearer message, Governor. It's day one of your State of the State. You're sitting in Sacramento in a state-owned property with all of these houses behind you and a ton of support and this great motto to get us started. And I'm really proud of that effort. You're digging in on one of the hardest and most persistent issues that the state faces. I'd also like to personally thank my colleague who's here, Senator Ben Allen. Say hello. Southern California, a true housing champion himself. So I'm proud of everyone involved, but particularly Sacramento, and I know they'll make us quite proud. It is also my honor to introduce the Secretary of Housing for the State of California, Secretary Castro Ramirez.
All right. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Lourdes Castro Ramirez, and I serve as Secretary of California's Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency. And just a point of personal privilege, boss, governor, and first partner, my family, my daughter is here in the audience. She's on spring break, Natalia. And my husband, Jorge Ramirez. Thank you for being here. As mentioned, I think we all know that having a home is fundamental. Yet we know that too many Californians lack a safe, affordable, and dignified place to call home. Many of our neighbors live in overcrowded housing, temporary shelters, cars, and tents. Why? Because the cost of housing is too high and because the supply is too low. The lack of access to affordable housing also leads to inequities. This is why Governor Newsom and this administration has put building housing first, partnering with local communities to build more housing faster, and expanding housing that people can afford has been a #1 priority. From 2018 to 2021, California financed the construction of nearly 60,000 permanent affordable homes. And as I speak, we have more than 20,000 homes in the pipeline. We've streamlined state bureaucracy, we've consolidated programs, we've developed new housing production models, dedicated more resources and tools, designed pro-housing incentives, and held cities accountable for meeting their fair share. And all of this in the midst of a global pandemic. We have made significant progress, but there's much more that needs to be done. Addressing this challenge requires all of government, state, local, and federal partners working in a unified and coordinated manner. Last fall, the governor challenged us to put unhoused people first and to do more to reduce unsheltered homelessness. He knew well of our collective ability to do better. Today, I'm proud to share that communities across the state heeded the governor's call to action. In a bottom-up approach through their local homelessness action plans, communities came together, they worked together, city, county, continuums, to commit to reaching a 15% statewide reduction in unsheltered homelessness by 2025. This is a significant step forward. In the next few weeks, my team will be announcing funding awards to support the implementation of these local action plans. These housing and homelessness resources will help communities increase successful exits from homelessness to housing with supportive services and a commitment to reducing racial disparities. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your steadfast leadership. Thank you for pushing us to do more. We will continue to do all that we can to create more safe places, more dignified places, more affordable places for people to call home. Now, I'd like to share some remarks for our Spanish-speaking Californians. Muy buenas tardes. Soy Lourdes Castro Ramírez, secretaria de la Agencia de Comercio, Servicios al Consumidor y Vivienda para el Estado de California. Como todos sabemos, tener una vivienda es fundamental. Sin embargo, demasiados californianos carecen de un lugar seguro, a precio accesible y digno. Muchos de nuestros vecinos viven en viviendas inseguras, albergues temporales, en sus carros o bajo carpas, ya que el costo de la vivienda es alto y no hay suficiente vivienda disponible. La falta de acceso a vivienda a precios accesibles también genera desigualdades. Por eso es que la administración de nuestro gobernador Newsom ha declarado la construcción de viviendas como su prioridad número 1. Desde el 2018 hasta el 2021, California financió la construcción de 60,000 viviendas permanentes a precios accesibles. Y ahora mismo contamos con más de 20,000 viviendas en planificación. Hemos simplificado la burocracia estatal, hemos consolidado programas, desarrollado nuevos modelos de producción de viviendas, dedicado más recursos, diseñado incentivos a favor de la vivienda y también hemos trabajado con las ciudades para que cumplan con la parte que les corresponde a ellos. Y todo esto en medio de una pandemia global. Hemos logrado un progreso importante, pero queda mucho por hacer. Abordar este desafío requiere que todos trabajemos juntos. El otoño pasado, el gobernador nos pidió que nos pusiéramos las pilas, que nos pusiéramos juntos para enfrentar este desafío. Y lo hizo porque él sabía que tenemos la capacidad de hacer un mejor trabajo. Hoy me enorgullece compartir que las comunidades de todo el estado escucharon el llamado a la acción del gobernador Newsom. Por medio de un planteamiento local, las comunidades se han comprometido a reducir el 15% en todo el estado el número de personas que enfrentan falta de vivienda para el 2025. Durante las próximas semanas anunciaremos los fondos para apoyar la implementación de estos planes locales de acción. Gracias, gobernador Newsom. Muchas gracias por su firme liderazgo a medida que todos trabajamos para crear más viviendas seguras y dignas con servicios integrales. Ahora me complace presentar a la primera pareja de California, Jennifer Siebel Newsom.
Quiero hablar en español, pero si hablo en español, ustedes van a estar enojados conmigo. Good afternoon. That was beautiful. We're so lucky to have this incredible secretary behind me and this team. I'm so happy to be here with all of you today to see the work being done to address housing and homelessness in California. As first partner, I started the California for All Kids and California for All Women initiatives to help give children the best start in life and ensure that ours is a state where women don't just survive, but thrive. Why? Because women are the backbones of their families, their communities, and yes, our economy. Their health and well-being are essential. Yet women and children are too often a part of the hidden homeless population. For many, they don't seek shelter services as often as men out of concern for their safety, and instead choose temporary living conditions while looking to secure stability for themselves and their immediate family. Unfortunately, in the United States, 80% of mothers experiencing homelessness have experienced domestic violence. One study shows that 57% of unhoused women claim domestic violence was the immediate cause of their homelessness. And further still, when women are forced to sleep on the street, we know that they face an increased threat of sexual violence. In one National Institute of Health study, 18% of women experiencing homelessness reported sexual violence in the past 6 months, and another study found that 32% of women who were without stable housing reported physical or sexual victimization in the previous year. So it's encouraging, beyond encouraging, to see the real work being done in California and right here in Sacramento to ensure that our communities have access to affordable housing and pathways to a home. This is critical to protecting women and families and ending intergenerational cycles of poverty and physical, psychological, and sexual abuse. I'm so grateful to the governor for his steadfast leadership, investing an unprecedented $15.3 billion in partnership with the legislature to tackle the challenge of housing and homelessness, giving local governments more dollars than ever before to address this crisis, but also requiring that they work to address the specific needs of their local communities. And as I close, I'm reminded that this is a crisis, as Senator Wicks said, that has been in the making for decades, or whatever, they're all senators to me, that has been in the making for decades, and is not, and is not lost on me that then Supervisor and later Mayor Gavin Newsom was an early leader with success in programs like Care Not Cash and Project Homeless Connect and Project Family Connect at the local level. He understands the complexities of this issue better than most, but also knows the role and responsibility local cities and counties must play in partnership with the state and the federal government in tackling this issue head on. So with that, please help me welcome Governor Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me thank everybody for their remarks. More importantly, thank them for their leadership. I want to thank my wife for always putting a human face on this and understanding, at least giving us a deeper understanding of the nuances and complexities of the issue we face. I think the final words she spoke as it relates to the issue of localism is foundational in this. I mean, the end of the day, state's vision, whatever it may be, is realized locally. We can set goals, numeric goals, we can set out a tone and tenor, but at the end of the day, things are delivered by local leaders. And so I'm very grateful to those local leaders, to mayors in particular that are here, the representatives, the Assembly and the Senate that are here, and others representing diversity of points of view and opinions on this subject matter, and certainly those that are responsible for these prototypes you see behind me, and the prospect that we can procure 1,200 or so of these small homes in a very short period of time. More on that in a moment. I'm also deeply mindful, as Mayor Steinberg said, of how angry we are as Californians about what's going on the streets and sidewalks in our state and what's not happening to address it with the kind of, well, urgency that is required. It is not for lack of hard work, it's not for lack of good intention, and increasingly it's not for a lack of resources. The state has significantly increased its responsibility and role to invest. As you heard, $15.3 billion over 2 years. It's simply without precedent anywhere in the United States. There's no per capita that has ever been appropriated this large to address this issue in modern times. I'll just punctuate this so you understand. 5 years ago, the state's entire investment in this space was roughly $500 million, 0.5, close to 15.5 today. We didn't just increase by 20, 30, 40%. We had no strategy, no plan. It was broad strokes appreciation for the issue, and I want to applaud former administration for being willing, first administration, to actually appropriate $500 million in this space, led no small degree by the Big 13 mayors and by many assembly members and state senators that are here today, recognizing cities and counties can't do it alone. But $500 million, no vision, no plan, no accountability. Fast forward, I know it's not fast enough, but fast forward, $15.3 billion, accountability at the core, and strategies for collaboration and cooperation across a spectrum of supports, the likes of which we have not seen in California's history. I get it. You want to see progress, and you want to see it now. You want to see progress in terms of encampments. You want to see progress in terms of people off the streets. And as the mayor said, you want to see our values represented in that progress. No one's naive. It's not just about sweeping things under the rug or kicking people off the streets and sidewalks and claiming a job well done. That doesn't do justice to the injustice that is perpetuated because our inability to reconcile the larger issues of wealth and income inequality and all its forms and manifestations, the most acute, of course, the issue of homelessness. So we're here with this announcement, not as the solution. The cynics be damned. No, we're not here announcing this is the entire package or strategy. So often, I've been doing this a long time, people look myopically at these announcements without considering the totality. We have laid out a vision, a strategy, and a plan, and the cities, the counties, and what is referred to, and you heard a moment ago, as the COCs, these continuums that are working to regionalize solutions, have also put numeric goals to make real our commitment around accountability. And so today we have announced, and you heard from the Secretary, the numeric goal. We went from 2%, which was lacking ambition in terms of the last round of accountability, to 15%, which is progress. I'm looking forward to next year's accountability plans. And we have approved those plans. Remember, no money without a plan. Plans with numeric goals, real strategies, compelling relationships that need to be formed, city and county and regionally, a framework of focus on delivering the results that you deserve. And as a consequence of that, within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be putting out $1 billion of awards by the end of this calendar month to the cities and counties to put those dollars to work to make real the commitments they've made in these plans. That's progress. And by the way, that would not have happened without the legislature. Both those things. Legislature demanding more accountability, thank you. And the legislature being willing to continue to provide unprecedented resources despite the fiscal constraints that we're facing here at the moment in the state. And finally, as it relates to these small homes, the urgency of the moment requires that one of the tools in terms of our strategy is to immediately address the anxiety, as Mayor Steinberg said, of being able to actually get someone off the street and have a place to go. Now, we've done that with Home Key. We did that with Room Key on a temporary basis, Home Key more permanent basis. But in that continuum of rapid rehousing, in that continuum of prevention, which is part of the original continuum, we have got to provide more options. And so what we are doing is we're deploying these 1,200 plus units. You can see these units are not just, in every case, for one individual, multiple individuals in these units, and we're putting them out with 4 partners. And that's why I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, talk about immediately stepping up. New mayor of San Jose, all the energy and vibrancy. This guy gets it. He's one of our great leaders. Watch this space with this young man. And he immediately said, yes, I'm on board. All we ask from the mayors, including Mayor Steinberg, is this. Once we get all this done, designed, and delivered, once we connect, quite literally, the utilities and all of the other resources in this space, we need you to be accountable, to operate these things, to manage these things, to case manage the individuals. We ask you to prioritize, because we set aside $750 million to do this, encampments, through our encampment resolution grants, so that we can address what's happening on the streets and have the ability, when we're out there doing the outreach, that when that individual is ready, that we have a place to go, or at least another option in terms of the alternatives to to living out in the streets and sidewalks in these extraordinary and horrid conditions that so many are struggling and suffering through, particularly around this time of year. And so that's the commitment they have made. San Diego County is fulfilling that commitment. San Jose is advancing it. Sacramento, they're the beneficiary. We just found another 150 small homes because Daryl demanded it to get to 350 here. And Mayor Bass, who would love to be here, we did a Zoom together, committing almost half, 500 of these small homes to get moving. We're hoping to get them constructed in a matter of months, not years. We're trying to, I wanted to say the summer. My staff said press will attack us if we fall short, so we are saying the fall. You still may attack us if we fall short. We're going to do our best. You got folks that are showing off their wares. We're in a procurement process. As was stated by Member McCarty, we are doing this with existing appropriations, part of that $2.2 billion we set aside in the behavioral health spectrum, and we're redirecting those dollars, again, with a sense of urgency that this moment is required. So more accountability, more resources, yes, flexibility, but accountability, and with the ability now to add these small homes to the mix and provide some, complementary efforts to a lot of the work that is already being done at the local level. We're grateful to be here, mindful as well in closing that homelessness and housing go together. And so I appreciate very much Lourdes and others making that point, and Buffy Wicks, next level in terms of the work she's been doing on the housing front in the last few years. We've signed 20 CEQA bills, 70 housing bills, $10.3 billion additional. $10.3 billion been set aside on the housing front. Again, unprecedented in California's history. You combine those two efforts with all the streamlining, accountability, and siting, it's a new day, and I get it. New energy demands new expectations, new results. But honored all took time to be here and grateful for the remarkable leaders assembled behind me. And with that, we're going to take a tour together, and then we're going to answer all your questions right after our short tour. Thank you all very, very much.